Pokemon trainers, welcome to the Victory World Cup of VGC, sponsored by the amazing Elgato, and we are here for the team drafts. We're going to find out which teams are going to be playing against each other at the beginning of this tournament. I'm Luke Cromie, and I'm joined on the desk by Lee Provost. How are you doing, Lee?
Doing great, Lou. Very excited to be involved at this stage. We are going to be drafting the teams into what groups they'll be going into, and it's very exciting seeing which countries are going to be kind of pitting off against each other in this huge tournament. And again, great to be joined by you, Lou. Hope you're doing all right as well.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm in a very whitewashed setting here. There's a lot of light glaring at me, not a lot of background going on because I've just moved house, but I do have a cat. So we also have a Gimli joining us here on the stream. I'm very much looking forward to this. I think one of the big things about World Cup has been the online hype that's been building. We had the announcement, we then had lots of teams kind of being drafted, and there was that kind of hype where loads of players really wanted to play for their country and represent them here at the World Cup. The managers picked their squads, and now it really is time to start actually playing the Pokemon matches. So they need to find out where they're going to be in the lineup.
Yeah, and 55 countries in total is just phenomenal. It's a massive, massive shout out to VictoryRoad for actually organizing this and getting so many countries involved. Whereas before, we've never had that amount of countries and amount of players. And like you say, they've all got their teams ready to go now. They're just waiting to see which other countries they'll be kind of playing against to get through to hopefully the next stages of the tournament. And we have a lot of kind of new countries taking part and players that we might have never heard of before, which even adds to the excitement because it's always kind of the playing field where these newer players or unheard players, have the chance to really make a name for themselves, and especially these countries as well that don't take part in the official VGC format, and that's the beauty about it. We kind of opening up the VGC kind of doors to the rest of the world and like really seeing who is the best team and the best country going forward.
Yeah, it certainly does help kind of that inclusivity of different teams that maybe haven't been able to be in the spotlight before. We did see the amazing VictoryRoad Euro Cup a few months ago, and that was phenomenal to be able to see that kind of level of competition and bring in some of those other European countries that maybe haven't been in the spotlight before. And I think it's the storytelling for me that I absolutely love. You've kind of got those David and Goliath storylines coming up, and I can't wait to see what history is going to be made here. And I think it's good to kind of recap the tournament kind of schedule and how things are going to be, so that you guys at home can be really clued up on exactly what's going to be happening and how the tournament's going to be laid out. So we should be able to get a graphic up to be able to show you that. And we've got obviously our initial stages here once we've done the draft for what those sort of first knockout stages are going to be, because all of these teams are going to be put into 16 different pools, and then you're going to be in either a pool of 4 or 3 different countries for these sort of initial qualifier stages, and only 2 of the teams in each of those pools are going to be advancing.
Yeah, and that's the nice way to kind of ease the teams into it. And the 16 group stages, best of 2 teams advance, and then it'll be 8 versus 8 matchups, which is the teams from each country going against each other. And then you move on to the group stages after that, which will run from August the 23rd to the 12th of September, where we've got 32 teams that have kind of progressed to that stage of the tournament. Again, 8 groups, best 2 teams advance from that stage and move on to the playoffs, which will end up the tournament on the 13th of September to the 10th of October.
Yeah, so it's going to run over several months, but that just means more Pokemon action for you guys week on week to be able to observe, participate in if you're one of those players as well. So lots of exciting things to be able to look forward to. And I think particularly in a tournament where you've got this kind of team mentality as well, it's a really nice kind of vibe to bring. It's not just you going for that singular title, you're actually going as a team, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't necessarily have had access to before. And it can create a really different dynamic. You get that nice kind of team building vibe, and then as you go through the competition, particularly when you get to those really knockout stages, maybe you're on even pegging with another team and you just have to get that final victory. It can lead to some really intense and amazing matches.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole beauty of the tournament. It's not like you say, it's not about the individual. Obviously, individuals are going to make the difference when it comes down to it, but really it is about the teamwork and how well that team works together, support each other, and that kind of camaraderie that you're going to have throughout the event, and really helps kind of push those maybe teams that you wouldn't see with an all-star cast, really kind of propel them because of the teamwork into a really kind of end stage of the tournament, and even maybe end up winning it. And that's the beauty. It comes back to the David versus Goliath kind of thing that you mentioned before, Lou. that's the storytelling. That's what we want to see, and that's what builds the excitement and will make this event extremely enjoyable to kind of follow right through until October this year.
Exactly. And just before we actually draft those teams, let's take a look at what teams are actually competing here in the Victory Road World Cup. So here you can see our lineup from Europe and Africa. Lots of amazing teams competing here. And the one thing I really, really want to champion is the logos here. They're all really unique. And the thing that I love is that the teams themselves had a say in who their mascot Pokemon is going to be. So they have chosen this Pokemon. They're getting behind them. They're rooting for them. They're there to symbolize them. And just the artwork is phenomenal.
They're amazing, aren't they? Like incredible logos. I mean, yeah, I love the idea as well. Like you say, you know, the teams have had a little say in what their theme is behind their mascot. And yeah, the artwork is just phenomenal. Here we've got the Europe and Africa countries here. I mean, you know, Austria stands out to me straight away. I just love that Groudon Lou. And also Greece as well with the Suicune in there. But I mean, all of them are amazing. You've got some really strong teams in here as well. Just to touch on that, you know, some really strong contenders and favorites. You've got Italy, you've got Spain, you've got Germany. And it's not to undermine any of the other teams here, but you know, they are the dominant kind of countries that we generally see doing very well with very strong players who always have very strong showings. But that's not to say that any of these other teams don't have just as good a chance going forward in this event.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what teams like South Africa and Israel can bring to this tournament as well, and how they're going to compete against all these other countries as well. Of course, you and I, Lee, are not affiliated with any team in this particular World Cup. We just get to sort of hang out this side of the desk and sort of observe everything and root for our favorite teams or the best logo. I'm not going to lie. So let's move on to the next slide so we can check out some more of these amazing logos and see some more amazing teams. So if we take a look at the Americas, see all of the locations that are going to be represented in the World Cup here. You know, again, the logos that really jump out to me. I love El Salvador's with that Ninetales. It's so majestic and amazing. And Colombia as well, rocking a Pikachu, best mascot by far.
Always going to be a favorite of yours, though, Lou, that one.
Had
I
to
love
be.
Argentina's, though. I think it just encapsulates the country. Such a fitting mascot with oh, it's not Scorbunny, is it? It's Cinderace.
Cinderace.
There we go. I'll get it there in the end. And then Brazil's as well, you know, Hitmontop, just a very cool Pokemon. It's kind of like the dancing Pokemon as well. You associate that with Brazil. And yeah, I mean, again, the logos, I can't say how much I really love them. They really kind of add that little extra to the whole kind of concept of this tournament. But yeah, again, some very strong countries in here. Argentina, obviously, Brazil, Peru as well. Got some very, very strong players. But you know, you say this, we've got a lot of like newer countries getting involved, and everyone loves an underdog story, you know. So hopefully some of these new teams that we haven't really seen too much of before can really excel in this environment and kind of push on and see how far they can go. And it's going to be amazing viewing to watch.
Yeah, I'm loving the representation from Latin America here with the different countries. And I think the interesting thing as well is I think in previous tournaments, the United States has often been divided up into kind of sort of maybe northern regions, southern regions, things like that, into different kind of areas. But this time they're competing under just one banner, United States. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to fare kind of as this one unity in this tournament. But of course, these particular teams are all going to be fighting out for the World Cup. You know, I'm just really looking forward to seeing what they're all going to bring to the table.
Yeah, and you know that's the thing. It's really difficult to say at this point which particular team is going to win. We are aware, obviously, being viewers of VGC and Pokemon competitively, of a lot of really high profile players and team where which countries they come from. But it's hard to say when they kind of come together as a team how well they're going to perform. And we can move on now to the Asia and Oceania regions here, Lou, and we've got some more great logos and some really strong countries as well to represent in this World Cup.
Yeah, exactly. Some amazingly strong countries, like you said. You know, Japan, always very dominant in the VGC scene, and they always bring such quirky Pokemon choices. Their teams are unlike any other teams you're going to see around the globe. So I'm so delighted that they're going to be partaking in this particular tournament. And, you know, from this side of the desk, I think I'm certainly going to learn a thing or two.
Yeah, and one team that we were talking on just about before the stream started was China. You know, they're not very well known, but going to be a very strong team. I think they've had friendlies with a lot of other countries in the past, and they've all seemed to do very well. So expecting them to do extremely well in this tournament, and very excited actually to kind of see a lot of these teams and how they can perform and which groups they'll actually be up in and what other teams they're going to be playing off against, because that is key for some of these teams. You may get an easier group than some of the other groups. You may get a really stacked group. It's really going to be difficult to say, but you're kind of keeping your fingers crossed. If you are some of these teams, I'd say all of the teams are hoping for a really good group and something that's not too difficult to get out of.
Well, now you've seen all the teams that are competing here at the World Cup, then I think it's time to move on to the draft. Once again, a big thank you to Lucy, who has done the amazing artwork for all of these logos. Amazing, amazing talent. It's just great to be able to showcase all of those awesome logos. But we know you guys are watching the stream for this moment. Just to kind of run it down for you guys, I have all the names in here. And I'm going to be drawing them out, presenting them to the camera to you, and then our lovely tech guys will be putting it up into a lovely kind of billboard spread for you guys on a slide so you can see all the action happening live. So what do you say, Lee? Should we get started with the draft?
Dive in. I'm a little jealous that you actually get to do this. I'm like, I want a little basket to do it as well. But no, it's good that you're doing it.
You
Yeah,
just
let's
know that
dive in.
if we tried to divide it, you know that we'd accidentally have duplicates and it would be a nightmare.
Oh yeah, we'd end up with groups with like Italy in twice. We'd have
Yeah.
Germany there 3 or 4 times. Yeah, it would be a mess. So it's good that you have control of this, and we can make a good job of it.
Okay, well, it's well shuffled. So let's have a look. The very first one on the draft is going to be China.
Oh, there we go.
There we
Okay.
go.
Wow. Did I
So
call that
China coming
earlier?
in. You might have actually. Yeah, you said that one might be coming out first.
No,
So
so
China will be going into Group A, I think.
yeah, Wehat is their captain there, the manager, sorry. And like we've already mentioned, mentioned them when we were going over the countries that are involved. I think a very strong country, and a really tough one for whoever is in Group A, I think, for the rest of it. So yeah, nice to get them off the mark.
Right, well, let's go in for Group B. And it's going to be the United Kingdom, who I
Ooh,
believe
okay.
is led by Jamie Boyd.
Yeah, Jamie Boyd is their manager. Obviously, very familiar with Jamie and Team UK. Got a lot of strong players, very well known players like Ben Kiriakou, Will Tansley, and we've got a lot of younger players kind of coming through now, which in the last few seasons have really started to kind of put their mark on the UK scene and the European scene as well, and some stages world level scene. So a very strong team, I think, managed by an extremely good player. But yeah, Group B, nice to see them top in that group. So hopefully they can keep that, maybe. Not biased,
Well,
of course.
let's find out. Going into Group C, we have got Denmark. So Denmark
Oh,
will be going
nice.
into Group
Denmark.
C.
Excellent. Well, Denmark will be in Group C, so that's Denmark. I'm not massively familiar with. Obviously, they do have some well-known players. They are a new team, all new faces, so they've got all the work to do to kind of really make and put their mark on this event. It'd be really exciting to kind of see how they do going forward.
Well, let's see who's going to go into Group D. I've got this one here. It's going to be Finland.
Finland, Group D.
Having a little run of European countries at the minute.
Oliver is their team manager. They've got some strong players. Finland was top 8 in the 2020 Euro tournament as well, so had a good finish there. Got a good team ethos as well. So yeah, going to have a good show on whatever, and a really difficult opponent for any team to kind of face off against.
Okay, perfect. Well, Group E. Oh, there's two there tangled together, so I've just reshuffled. There we go. Austria.
Austria going into Group A.
I feel like I'm doing Eurovision, I'm not going to lie.
I know, it does feel like that, yeah. Callie, Stephen, who is their manager. Austria are a really strong region, I think, as well. They got Stephen and Lucas as well, top cuts at multiple regionals. So they've got very experienced players in there. I'm sure with that experience, it'll give them a real edge kind of going into this tournament.
Okay, next one is going to be
Group F. Here we go.
Oh, it's going to be Belgium.
Belgium. Excellent. Okay, well, Simon is he is their manager. They are a new team to the World Cup again. There's not much we know about them, but again, it's just that it's the same thing, Lou, isn't it? Where we want to see these new teams that we don't know much about. It makes it exciting. We want to see what they can do on a kind of world's level scale.
Exactly. Looking forward to seeing what they're going to contribute. And the next one is going to be Italy.
Ooh, okay, there we go. Italy have come out the hat, and obviously, there's not really too much we need to say about Italy. You've got world champions in there, international champions in there, like
Mhm.
decorated with some of the strongest players in the world, and I think they're going to be tough for any team. They're definitely one of the favourites coming into this, and you'd be stupid to ignore the fact that they are such a strong nation. I think they're an amazing team, and yeah, you kind of it's nice for the other teams because you think I'd like to avoid them. I think if you're most of the other teams, so so far
Mhm.
the other teams that have drawn already can kind of take maybe a little bit of sigh
A little
relief,
bit,
but
yeah.
we'll get on to the next one.
Yeah, let's have a little look at the next one. Is going to be Vietnam.
Vietnam, another newcomer, I think,
Mhm.
to World Cup as well, and with the Rayquaza, one of the best looking logos, I would say. Yeah, and they are going into Group H, I believe.
Mhm. Yeah, into Group H. So let's move on to Group I. We've got a lot of countries to get through. Next is going to be Honduras.
Honduras. So they'll be going into Group I,
Mhm.
Honduras. Another one of the Latin America teams. Not so much known about them either. But yeah, again, it's going to be nice to see what they do going into this tournament. Latin America, a very strong region in general, always have very good players. So yeah, it's a nice for them to get off the mark and make a kind of debut in this World Cup.
Yeah, we do have, as you can see, some groups only have three, some groups have four. It's just the way the maths worked out to get these 16 groups, but it would still be a decent tournament nonetheless. Next
Yeah.
group is going to be Venezuela.
Venezuela. So another group of three here going into Group J, with the Kingler there as their logo.
Love
Um,
it.
yeah, Venezuela. Again, Venezuela third place in the 2021 Copa America tournament. They got modest achievements there, special events and things like that. So they've got strong players within their team, and yeah, Gabriel is their team manager as well.
Brilliant. Well, let's see who's going to go into Group K. It's going to be Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, we're getting all the Latin America teams
I
coming out
know.
at the minute, going into Group K. I don't know which one you would kind of prefer to go into. If you prefer to go into a group of three, or if you go into a group of four, don't know which would be easier. It's hard to say, but yeah, it's difficult. I think it's just you just got to take what you get really, and just in any tournament like this as well, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So you kind of maybe sometimes just look past who you get in the group stages. It's always nice to have an easier group, but it doesn't always work out like that.
Well, let's see who the next edition is going to be going into Group L. Oh, it is Switzerland.
Switzerland going into Group L, and that I believe is Damo is their team manager there. And I know quite a few of the Swiss players, very strong region. I think not as well known as maybe some of the other European countries, but yeah, nice to see them get into Group L, and they've got a three-group stage and a very cool logo there with Aegislash.
Yeah, I love the
The
shiny
Swiss,
kind of
the
vibe.
Swiss Army Aegislash as well. So
I love that. I appreciate
do
that a
love
lot.
it. Do it.
Well, next we're moving on to Israel.
Israel coming in to Group M, and I think Israel again one of the newer countries coming in to make their debut in the World Cup. So again, like I keep saying, we've got Enosh actually playing on this team, so very well known player, and yeah, very strong. I mean, there's not much more you need to say about Enosh. He's got amazing accomplishments, great player. Had a recent very strong finish as well in Series 10, and Dov Joseph Fiend River is their manager.
Oh, very exciting. Let's
I'm
get into the
sorry if I
next
keep
one.
looking over to the side as well. We've got 55 countries, so you have to excuse me. There's no way I could remember each and every one of them. So
Don't worry, don't worry. Next is another European country. It's going to be France.
France, very strong country again. And I believe they had, was it a top four finish or was it top eight finish they had? No, top four finish in the
Oh,
2020 European Cup for VictoryRoad. Consistent world competitors as well in there. Very strong team. Got that really good teamwork behind them already from that finish in the 2020 Europe Cup. So hopefully they can push on a bit further and kind of do that step better in this one.
Yeah, I played against Team France last time, and it was a battle I'd rather forget. It was a little bit of a landslide. They definitely played brilliantly.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is going to be Indonesia.
Indonesia coming into Group O, and they're going to be the first one in there with the Como O as their mascot here. I believe another newcomer to the World Cup scene. So again, they've got Agashi and let's see if they've got regional champion in Gunter. So they've got some very good finishes behind them, good experience in there as well. So nice to see them get off the mark here in Group O.
And then rounding out the first kind of stage of this draw is going to be, I can get one, I feel like a pen, there we go. Oh, we have got the United States.
Ooh, another very strong nation. And like you mentioned, when we were going over the teams earlier, the US used to be divided into different territories, southwest, east. I don't know if it was all of them, but so all of those players now, and they have a huge amount of well-known players, very good players, all coming together now as a kind of collective to make a very strong team. So that is going to be a difficult group for anyone kind of joining that one. But nice to see those teams kind of off the mark. And yeah, all picked up. You can see the teams that will be grayed out here are the ones that will be picked. And then we will be going through the rest of the draft to kind of pick up the teams from there. And obviously, we
Yeah.
have to let our text pick up because obviously it takes a little time to gray out these teams. But how do you think what are you feeling so far? Obviously, we can't really make any determinations, Lou. We've only got the first teams from each group now, but we're kind of setting the scene now going forward.
Well, I think we've got some of the big teams already sort of out early, so we kind of know that they're not going to go head to head in a pool stage. Teams like Italy, United Kingdom, United States. Those are kind of three of the big teams I was really looking for. And then knowing that in the pot we still got teams like Japan, Spain, for example, as well. They're teams that I'm really looking forward to seeing where they're going to line up, whether they maybe end up in one of the pools with another one of these kind of, I'd say favourites so much, but definitely the ones with big reputations to uphold, I suppose, when it comes to kind of these victories. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who's going to possibly come out next and where now the competition is going to start lining up. Because, like you said earlier, when you look at it now, breathe a sigh of relief that you're not facing these other teams because they've already been selected for different pools. So now it really does come down. The tension starts building. Who's going to be pulled for your specific pool?
Yeah, like you say, there is a lot of teams still to kind of come out that do have that reputation behind them. You mentioned Spain and Japan. You've got Germany as well. Portugal, another one that have a lot of strong players. And yeah, there's a lot of teams still to go. And now it kind of gets the nail biting scenario where if it comes to your group and that you're going into the hat, you got to hope that you get maybe an easier team than maybe than some of the stronger, well-known ones. But that doesn't mean to say that the unknown teams aren't just as strong, just because they haven't got that kind of known player base like some of the other regions have. Because you got to remember, like, there's only so many countries that are actually involved in the official VGC tournament. A lot of these countries maybe don't have official circuits running where you've got like strong grassroots tournaments like China and things like that. So you can't underestimate the player base just because they're not maybe as well known, and it doesn't make them any easier. But obviously it's easy for us to say when we do know these big strong nations and countries kind of coming into it that they're the ones that you want to try and avoid. But yeah, you can't say anything like some of the other ones that we don't know about too much are going to be quite easy.
Well, let's move back to the draft and start filling out the second row of the particular teams. So shake up the little pot once again. And let's go for this one here, which is Colombia.
So Colombia, they'll be going into Group A, right, with China. Yeah, so Colombia, yeah, I mean, that's already heating up now to be a very interesting group. Christian Rodriguez is their manager, obviously with your favorite logo there as well, the Pika there. And Felipe Silva currently playing in the global finals of Players Cup. You've got Javier as well as the IC runner-up. So, you go through their team and you're starting to see some very strong players there. Going to make it very difficult for China. And yeah, it's already looking quite spicy, that group, with only two in there.
Well, let's see who's going to be joining Group B. It's going to be Germany.
Oh, old rivalries.
I know, I've just moved from one
Couldn't make
country
this up,
to the
Lou, could
other.
we? Yeah, couldn't make this
Oh,
up.
Group B must be my group.
Yeah, the Lou group. Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, if you're the United Kingdom, I mean, you've got if you feel like you can win this tournament, you can't fear any other team. But I mean, you can't ignore the fact that Germany, Fevzi is managing them. You've got players like Marcus, you've got other players, well, both Marcuses, you've got Marcus Stadter and you've got Marcus Sponholz, and both of those,
Yeah,
Marcus Stadter is just one of the most decorated players that we've ever had in VG, very strong player. And then you've got Marcus Sponholz, just to mention him, obviously making a really strong appearance. I think we cast one of his matches in the Players
yeah, we
Cup
did.
Blue.
Mhm.
So very strong team throughout. And the one thing I would always say about Germany is they're very, very good as a team,
Mhm.
their team ethics, their team building together, very strong. So always a team that you've got to watch out for.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, I'd be a terrible wife if I didn't mention also Barish, a great German player on that
Oh,
team
yes, of
as
course.
well.
Barish is on there. Yeah, sorry.
Right, next team we
I'll
have
never live that
got
down now.
we've got Sweden coming up next.
Ooh, Sweden, yeah. Now they had a strong finish in the Euro tournament, I believe,
Mhm.
and
Sure.
got some very strong players in there as well. So again, it's the battle of that region of Europe that I can't think
Mhm.
of at the minute, which you're going to tell me, Lou, aren't you?
So the Icelandic region?
No.
I don't know. But I know what you mean. All we need is Norway to go into that group, and you've kind of got
Yeah,
the little
exactly. Yeah.
trio.
Well, I can't remember it, so I can't say anything for you remembering it. My brain, when you get that moment, you just get
Mm.
an absolute blank and it's just gone. But that region of Europe where
Mhm.
all those countries reside, including Finland,
Yes.
who's
I
have kind of let the
Mhm.
team down by being in Group D. But yeah, Denmark, Sweden in there together. Yeah, very
Let's move on.
close rivalries to kind of kick into Group C.
Oh, I dropped that one. It's here. It's the same one. Oh, we have got the Netherlands.
Netherlands are a very strong nation and coming into Group D as well. Now, who are the Netherlands managed by? Let's have a quick
Oh,
look.
lovely Solgaleo on the logo as well.
Liam
Very majestic.
Absurdity is their manager.
Mhm.
They've got very good players, Liam Andres, Cohen as well, all well-known players. And again, I think very good is like a team unit and a very nice logo as well with the Sogaleo there.
Exactly. So let's pick up the. Oh, yeah, I've got one. I thought I picked up two then. We then got Thailand.
Thailand joining Austria in Group E. So Thailand, I think they're a newcomer to the World Cup scene as well. Notaro, very, very strong player, is their team manager. I'm sure a lot of us will know him for his success on Showdown. He normally sits at number 1 or number 2 ranking, normally more so often number 1. So yeah, going to be a very strong team, I think. Don't know too much about them. You've got the regional championships in Juruwa in there as well. So some very strong players in there, and I'm sure the team that the rest of the team that's made up are just as strong to kind of support them, make it very difficult for Austria. And obviously Austria are going to give them a good run for their money as well.
Wow, let's see who's joining Belgium in Group F.
Here we go. Who's joining Schmons Belgium?
It's going to be Brazil.
Brazil, wow, okay. So we got all the Bs to start us off in Group
Mhm.
F. Brazil, very strong again. Got some very well-known players in there as well. Gabriel Agati is their captain, our team manager as well. Brazil top 4 in the 2021 Copa America as well. So, a recent very good finish, very good team togetherness. And like I've already mentioned, probably one of my favorite logos as well with that Hitmon top.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what Brazil can bring. They're definitely one of the ones I'm kind of watching out for. And I think they're
Yeah.
definitely one to kind of keep an eye on as the tournament progresses. Let's
Yeah.
move on to the next one.
Joining Italy. So here we
Oh,
go.
I hit my mic. I'm sorry. It's Uruguay.
Uruguay joining Italy. So Uruguay, again, let's have a look. Gonzalo is their manager. Best known player is Diego,
Mhm.
a special event winner. So they have got some good official kind of finishes going on within their team. It's, I'm excited for them. They're going into a group with one of the strongest teams in this tournament. So what an opportunity for them to kind of go in and know already that they're going to be facing down against Italy.
Yeah, but of course, the top two out of each pool will be advancing. So it's not just one, you can get that second spot and still advance in the tournament. Moving on to the next person in Group A is going to be Team Ireland.
Team Ireland joining Vietnam. So in Group H, yeah, I think is it Matty who is managing Ireland
I
this
think it's
year?
Connor. I think it might
It's
be Connor.
Connor is managing,
Mhm.
and you do have players like Matty Morgan. You've got Kelly and obviously Jason as well in there. So they're well-known players, and Patrick as well. So well-known players within their team. Not a team to be underestimated as well. And I think that like Matty is one of those like players that's really kind of coming through the ranks at the minute. Pre-COVID, he was having very good finishes in events, and online he's done very well in the last couple of years. So, one of their strongest players, and definitely one to watch out for. There's Gimli making an appearance
Yeah, I think
for Team Island.
Gimli, do you want to draw the next one? No, no, he
Please.
doesn't fancy
No.
it. I don't know. Maybe you can take a look. What do you think, Gimli? Next, it's Team Canada.
Team Canada joining Group I and Honduras. So Canada are being captained by Jean-Marc Hubert, and that is Jean-Marc. And yeah, I mean Canada, they've got Ryan Lossetta, Abe, they've got Neil Patel, Jeffrey Bird. So they've got some very good, strong finishes, and a top 32 in last week's World Cup Open as well. Yeah, again, I think they're through and through. They've got some really strong players, Star IQ as well, very well known, strong player. So I'm excited to kind of see this group in particular. Canada, maybe not as hyped up as someone like the United States, but then again, you can't underestimate these smaller countries, if to say no disrespect there.
Exactly. I think Gimli, every time I shake this, thinks that there are some cat treats around. But no, instead, we're just going to pull out the next country, which is going to be Bolivia. Oh,
Bolivia
there we go.
joining Venezuela in Group J. So Bolivia is managed by Giovanni, who's Zach. Best known player is Giovanni, and he is a special event winner. So not too much known about Bolivia. A great opportunity for them to come in. Got obviously a good position in a group of three as well, which does now obviously with two teams progressing from this stage does make it a little bit easier. You don't have that additional team like the other groups do have to kind of play off against.
Well, moving on, joining Puerto Rico, it's going to, oh, there are three there, so I'm just going to mix them all back in. Trying to grab one. Is Panama.
Panama into Group K with Puerto Rico. So Panama are managed by Gabriel Cedino. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Probably not, so I do apologize. Alberto is a special event winner. Gabriel top 16 at last week's World Cup Open as well. So really kind of hot in the current format, doing very well. Yeah, nice to be in there with also kind of neighboring nation or quite close country, Puerto Rico.
Okay, and on next to Guatemala.
Guatemala joining Switzerland in Group L. Guatemala, they are. Let me see. I don't know if I can find them, Lou. Oh, there
I'm
we
loving
go.
that Porygon too. It's looking very, very sort of
I know that
shifty.
is definitely a logo. It's quite subtle as well with the colors as well. I do love it. But
Yeah.
yeah, always love a bit of Porygon too. Juanma is Tekka username online. They've got a lot of players that are well known. I think, Juana, Pablo Aldana, Ruby Shan, and the special event winners in there as well. So strong,
Right.
strong players.
Let's get this bottom four row done.
Group
Moving
M
on.
joining Israel.
It's going to be Portugal, very strong
Portugal,
contender.
very strong contender indeed. Yeah, it's maybe one of the teams that we didn't really touch on too much in the kind of preview. But Ruben Puddles is their manager. You've got João Costa there, and you've got consistent world competitors. Ruben, obviously being one of them, and obviously got the whole representing the Portugal region.
Yeah, with the little Armaldo sort of snuck in at the sides as well. Very much
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah, totem poles.
that. Okay, joining France, we have got Chile.
Chile up next. All right. Well, this group's looking quite spicy already, isn't it? With Chile and very well-known players. Javier Valdez is their team manager. They've got Felipe Silva currently playing in the global finals of Players Cup. Javier, we know, has had some very strong finishes. International championship runner-up. And other special event winners as well. And Michael Navas was top 32 in last week's World Cup qualifier as well. So extremely strong finish, and considering the amount of players that took part in that event as well.
I keep picking up multiples here. Here we go. Just one. Okay, it's Paraguay.
Paraguay joining Group O with Indonesia and Paraguay is Jose is Ice Guinness again. Juanes, I think that's their team manager. Best known player here is Nilson Gomez. He's a special event runner-up. So they are quite newcomers to the World Cup. Very cool logo as well. So yeah, in that group with Indonesia. And now we'll wrap it up with second pick for Group P.
Which is going to be New Zealand.
New Zealand joining the United States. Okay, there we go. So that rounds up the second round. Got Aiden Jackson for their team manager. Trent Sear and Alex Donaldson reached Players Cup 2 Oceania Region finals. Aiden had a top cup at a couple of 2021 online tournaments. So some very kind of experienced players in there, which I'm sure will help the rest of the team. But a tough group to kind of go into against the United States. And a lot of the time, you know, Lou, when I say a tough group, it's exciting as well, you know, to go in against these kind of more well-known teams, because as a player personally, you know, I kind of would want to be, I'd relish the idea of playing some of these other countries and teams and individuals in particular that you may not have ever had really the opportunity to play before, because for one of another reason they might not have been at a real life event that you've been to, or they're just outside a region, which means, you know, you've never had the chance to play some of these players. So it's on one side of the coin, it is kind of difficult to be like, we didn't want to have this team, they're really good, they've got amazing players. But on the other side, it's kind of the challenge, you know, especially as a VG player, you kind of want to see if you can rise to the challenge against these better players to kind of see, am I as good as them? Can I beat them? Can we overcome them? Can we like show the rest of the world that, yeah, we're here, we're this is what we're all about? And that opportunity, you know, as well can work out just as good for these kind of like smaller countries, unknown countries, and sometimes work against the better known countries. Because the thing is, you can't underestimate anyone. Like I'll always say to players, Lou, is, you know, even if you're coming into the in as a new player, you know, the person sitting across from you is just a person playing. They might have a bit more experience, but you kind of just got to take it on face value. So we can move across again before I ramble on anymore, Lou, and we'll see all the grayed out countries that have been picked so far and highlight some of the countries that are still yet to be picked.
No, but I mean, you're 100% in what you say, Lee, because at the end of the day, this is the World Cup VGC and you want to be the best. And in order to do that, you've got to beat the best. So whether it's in the pool stages or in those grand finals, you're going to have to beat these eventually. But like you say here, we've got the grayed out countries already selected. And you've just talked a lot, Lee, about kind of going in against those well-known kind of bigger teams. Well, Group B with United Kingdom and Germany is certainly looking to be pretty intense, let's say. We kind of said that you might get those more well-known teams coming up against each other in a tournament like this. I wasn't expecting it to be so soon. But, you know, again, there are still some countries here that still have to be put into a category. We've got really strong contenders, Japan, Spain, again, you know, really looking forward to seeing what they're going to be able to bring. Kind of see where they're going to line up. I hope it's not Group B, because everyone will be coming for me.
I kind of hope it is Group B, honestly, because from a spectator's point of view, it really makes it that extra bit more, you know, exciting. You know, you've got like we're going to end up with one group which is really stacked, and it's kind of what the viewers want to see. You know, it might not be what the teams themselves want to see, But at the same time, because the coverage throughout this is going to be so brilliant, it's going to be very exciting to kind of follow from start to finish. Other countries you got Czech Republic with the Tesh in there. So Argentina as well, still to be picked. Australia, so some very strong countries still to be picked. Like you say, and Spain's still one of those. Could they be popping up anytime soon?
Well, let's move on to the third round of the draft. And of course, in the third round as well, Gimli's joined us again. It's going to be really interesting because in those bottom groups there, the ones that only have three, we're actually going to be able to finalize them in this particular section. I think, yeah, Gimli's like, come on, mum, hurry up. So let's go and pull out the next one. Oh, that's a lot. So I'm going to drop them all back in, shake it up again. We have got India as our next pick.
Nice. Okay, so this group A is looking really, really good. Kunal is their team manager. Kunal, a very strong player, and got some good team members in there. Raghav as well, regional champion. You got Nitish as well with the world's top 4 finish. So we've got some very experienced players in there, and Kunal, a very strong team builder, so will help really support India very well, making this group so interesting with China, Colombia, and India.
Well, I'm going to put Group B on. I was about to say Gimli, you're going to choose this one, but no, Gimli doesn't want that kind of responsibility. Right, so the next one coming out for Group B is going to be Peru.
Peru, okay, so they're joining Group B. Peru are managed by Diego, and Peru were the runner-up of the 2021 Copa America, so kind of getting ahead of a lot of those other countries like Brazil and things like that. So very good showing in that tournament in itself. Renzo Navarra is a 3-time regional champion, so that's in itself just kind of speaks volumes for the kind of quality of players they've got running through this team. Really making Group B look very exciting. And yeah, I mean a great group so far, and we've still got one more to add there, Lou.
Yeah, let's move on to Group C and see who's going to be joining them. Again, multiple. I'm just going to show it around. The problem with having long nails, guys, you can't always feel how many you're picking up. Moving into this group is going to be South Korea.
South Korea joining Denmark and Sweden. So South Korea, one of the more well-known teams. Nash is their team captain. Obviously, South Korea are going to be one of the strongest contenders coming into this World Cup. They've got multiple national champions in there. They've got worlds qualifiers, world champions in there. So it's very strong region. Makes it difficult for Denmark and Sweden, but at the same time, we talked about like how well Sweden have done in previous tournaments, team tournaments as well. It's going to be a challenge for South Korea to overcome them, and a really good test for the other two teams to kind of go up against South Korea.
Well, coming up next, we have got Malaysia. They will be joining Group D.
Yeah, with Finland and the Netherlands. So Malaysia, they are managed by Ismat and Gary, the regional champions and special event winners as well. So again, they've got very good kind of grounding for very good like finishes in official events, which is just going to help them, especially one of them being their team manager as well, really support the entire team and kind of make it tough opposition for the Netherlands and Finland as well to kind of get their way through Group D.
Right, moving on to the next one. We have got Argentina, a team I'm really looking forward to seeing with their Cinder race.
Argentina, yeah, with their Cinder race and against Austria and Thailand again. That group's heating up as well to be very strong. Argentina, they are managed by Juan. And again, they are the champion of the Copa America, the 2021 Copa America. Juan is the seniors international champion as well, so like an amazing player. You got Federico and Sebastian as well with top 8 worlds finishes, so very well known players within that team. And again, I feel like they've probably got a really good kind of team spirit within their camp, and I think they'll be a very, very strong team in this tournament. And maybe I kind of want to say a favorite to go very deep into the competition, you know, so going to be tough for Thailand and Austria, but very good competition in Group E, shaping up really nicely there.
I've just pulled out one for the next group in Group F, and it's going to be the Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic joining Belgium and Brazil. So again, a nice, I think they're new, all new team that we don't know too much about. So again, all the opportunity there, and they've got the Charizard for their logo. So I mean, what more do we need to say there? Representing the champion Leon. So is that a sign, Lou? Is that a sign of things to come?
Could be. You know, Charizard's definitely a good pick.
Right, here
right.
we go. Who's joining Italy and Uruguay? Group G. Let's see.
It's gonna be Spain.
Spain. Oh.
That's gonna be an intense one as well.
Yeah, I mean, Italy and Uruguay are already very strong teams, and then you've got Spain. Like we've mentioned, one of the strongest teams in Europe. You know, they have a pedigree of amazing players that have come out with phenomenal finishes. You've got Alex Gomez, who is their team manager. You've got Guillermo Castilla, who is on the team as well. And I mean, you go through some of the players on the team. You've got Eric, you've got Victor, you've got so many like top finishes that they've had in official events that you've probably between them all almost got like every tournament that's been, one of them's won it, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
going to be very strong, very difficult for the other two teams to face, and that group already looking like one of the, you know, the very that you're going to coin it the group of death, because that's what we do, you know. In football, you have that group that is, every team is just, you know, it's a stacked group, and that one is already kind of shaping up to look like that. So you just need to throw Japan in there and then the last round, Lou, and that would be the one, you know. But we'll move on. I know.
Commentators curtly, you've just thrown it right down out there.
It's on my head. Group H next.
I can't open this one. Well, next it's going to be South Africa.
South Africa joining Group H with Vietnam and Ireland, and that finishes up that group, Lou. So
yeah, it does.
It does, yeah. South Africa, Dale is the manager. New team, several South African national champs in there as well. So Dale, Jonas, Botma, Gavin Jones as well, all players. So going to be a great opportunity for them to come in. Like we've mentioned before, with some of these teams that are a little bit unknown, players unknown, not as well as some other countries in the world, it gives them an opportunity to really make a mark on this, and nice way to finish off Group H.
Yeah, and you can see it's getting a lot smaller in this little tub.
There aren't many left, no.
No. So let's finalize another group with the next choice, which is El Salvador.
El Salvador coming in to round off Honduras and Canada. And El Salvador is going to be headed up by Giovanni and Rene. Alverga is obviously one of the players that will be playing on El Salvador's team. Very well-known player, top 8 at Worlds, 7-time special event winner, which is just insane to say that. And so very decorated players within their ranks, and going to be a really nice group for them to kind of go into against Canada and Honduras.
I think that multiple again, so I'm just going to put that back in. I've got one. This is going to be Mexico rounding out Group J.
Mexico are going to be going into Group J with Venezuela and Bolivia. Moises is their team manager with the Halucha there. Enrique and Jonathan currently playing in the Players' Cup 4. So, I mean, just that speaks volumes for itself. Current players doing very well. Yeah, the nice way to kind of round up Group J.
Okay, going on to the next one. That's multiple again. Just one. So going for Group K, it's going to be Russia rounding out that group.
Russia are rounding up with Puerto Rico and Panama. So Russia are managed by Alexander. Several top cuts, Russian nationals is Alexander, Nikita. So yeah, you know, there's not too much known about Russia, but I think like we've said throughout, Lou, you know, and I keep repeating myself a little bit here, but it's like you can't underestimate any of these teams, because they'll be coming in and they'll know that they're not as well known as some of the bigger teams like Italy, like Spain, Germany, United States. So they'll want to be, you know, want to prove a kind of point. Yeah, we're here. We're gonna, you do our thing in this tournament. So it's a great opportunity for them, especially in these smaller groups as well, where two will still advance.
Exactly. If you're representing your country, you really want to do them proud. So our next country is going to be the Philippines.
Philippines finalizing Group L with Switzerland and Guatemala. And then we have Philippines is Alpha Torando is their manager. Modest achievements. They've got some good finishes in their top cuts at previous nationals in the past. And yeah, it's going to be a nice way to round out Group L, and it makes it quite exciting as well because there's quite a mix there of different countries in that group, where some of the other groups have quite a close kind of connecting country. So there's a lot of rivalry going on in other groups, but that one is quite, there's quite a different mix from around the world in Group L.
So, again, multiples, put them back in. Next, so this is going for Group M. It's going to be Poland.
Poland joining Israel and Portugal. So Poland are headed up and going to be managed by Botos. So very well-known player. Diana Bros as well as regional champion in consistent worlds competitors. And there's Mon Alexander, and it goes on. So some very decorated players in that team. So got the Latias as well. So got a very nice, fun place next to my heart for that particular logo, Lou. Yeah, so that rounds up Group M with Israel, Portugal, and Poland.
Again, Lucy working her magic with those amazing logos. Okay, next is going to be Greece.
Greece is, I can already say that Greece is already managed by Costa, the man himself. And great logo there. And they'll be rounding up the group with France and Chile. Pretty tough group for Greece to go into, but they've got some outstanding players who've had really good finishes recently as well. And headed up by Costa, going to do extremely well. So I'd love to see. Well, that group is very exciting, actually. We've already talked about how strong France and Chile are, so it's a really tough group. But the matches between those teams are going to be really, really exciting for viewing.
It's quite bittersweet as well if you're in those groups of just three, because although there's less teams to face, one of you won't make it, but the other two will. So I think those ones are going to be really, really intense.
It is a bit of a double-edged sword, where it is, one of the side of it, it is going to be, it makes it easier essentially because, only one team gets knocked out. But again, it makes it quite difficult. Like you say, only one team will, miss out, which will make it very tight, I think, coming down to those last kind of matchups.
No matter where you are, you've got to keep winning. So for Group O, we have got Hong Kong rounding it out.
Hong Kong, okay, joining Indonesia and Paraguay. Again, a little bit like China, Hong Kong, we don't know a massive amount about. They do have Cyrus as their manager, so he's a well-known player. And they, I think a little bit of an underdog, and I don't mean this to sound like condescending on their part, but I think they're probably a lot stronger than what a lot of teams or people may think of them, and I think they're going to do extremely well in this World Cup. And obviously got the Urshifu there as their logo, great logo. But rounding off Group O with Indonesia and Paraguay.
Okay, and for the final one of this sort of third round of the draft, we have got Australia.
Australia joining their neighbours, New Zealand, and rounding that off with the United States as well. Australia are headed up by Paul Amity, and you got some phenomenal players in there. Phil in there as well. You got Megan Rattle, made top 8 at Worlds. Phil's a regional champion. You got Darcy as well in there. So some very strong players from Australia, not to be underestimated at all. It's a pretty tough group as well with the United States and New Zealand, and there'll be definitely that rivalry. I think that makes it quite exciting with New Zealand in there as well. So really nice way to kind of round off that group. And move over now, Lou, and we can see which teams are still yet to kind of pop out the hat. We still haven't seen Japan yet. And I know you've said I've put the commentator's curse on it, which I really hope I get away with, because if that does come to fruition, it's I'll take it. I'll stand up and take it. But yeah, there's still some really strong teams to kind of come out. We've had Spain come out now, and Argentina have been picked out. So Yeah, but there's still some big kind of teams to be put in amongst the remaining groups in this draft.
Exactly, and it's really kind of nail biting at this stage as well, because most of the other teams have already been drafted. You can already, if you're the managers, I guess, start trying to strategize a little bit more. Whereas if you're the team still not selected, it's like this mad panic. Where do you want to be? Where do you not want to be? Because also as the manager, you're going to know your team's play style and kind of their strengths and weaknesses. So you're going to be able to start kind of sussing out which teams would want to play against, if you kind of weigh those positives and negatives. But again, if you take a look at the list, you can see that our amazing production team are just graying them out after we have drawn them. So really interesting to see which ones are left in this particular draft. Like you said, Japan is still in there somewhere. I promise it is in there. We did do a count of all 55 slips when we went live with the stream, so I promise they are all there. But then again, some really interesting teams that I can't wait to see the action from. For example, Taiwan and Singapore. I really want to see how they're going to go down in this competition. And I just want to see Costa Rica with the cutest little logo ever. Again, it's just amazing. And I really want to see what they do. I hope, although they've picked, obviously the teams have picked these mascots, I feel like this one is a sleepy choice, but maybe that's what you're not going to do, is not sleep in Costa Rica.
Yeah, maybe that's the secret message there, Lou, that they're sending out. Don't sleep on us. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you mentioned the teams that are left are exciting teams to kind of see where they're going to kind of end up. You got Czech Republic. I've already mentioned. David Ktesh is in there, probably one of the best known players from that region. And we know how innovative David is as an individual. So if he kind of can relay that onto his teammates, help support them, and they're going to be an exciting team to watch, I think, going into this. So I think, like you mentioned, though, at this stage, you're kind of not at the point of like planning out. You're kind of maybe saying, well, you made a good point about play style. My team have a certain play style, or they prefer to play against this sort of team. Other teams that are remaining, the manager's kind of saying, well, I really hope we get that group. I hope we don't get that group. There are certain groups, and like if I was a manager here, there's definitely groups now that I look at and think I want to avoid that group, because if we can avoid it till later on in the tournament, the better for us almost. But again, it comes back to how you're approaching this as a manager, as a team. Are you just thinking it doesn't matter, we want to play the best, if we want to be the best, we've got to beat the best? And that's just in itself as good a way to kind of approach it as everything else. But for the viewers, I think it's very exciting to still have the prospect that Japan's going in, Singapore's going in somewhere, Taiwan, Norway, Czech Republic, Costa Rica, they're all, and Ecuador as well, are all due to kind of drop into one of these remaining groups that we've got left.
Well, if my math is correct, we've got 7 teams left to sort. So let's jump right into it. We are about to finalize Group A with Taiwan.
Taiwan going into Group A with China, Colombia, and India. Now, Taiwan, they are managed by Xian, and there's obviously the top 8 worlds finishes and regional champions within their team, and obviously got the Talonflame as well. A very fitting logo for Taiwan. Very exciting group as well, with India. That is a very, very exciting group. When you really kind of think about the teams that are in there and the players that are in there, I'm hyped for that group. I think that's an incredible group. So yeah, great Group A. And it's really, really starting to, this is the group, the next one. United Kingdom, Germany, Peru. Who have we got going into this next group, Lou?
I picked up multiple, so a really good shuffle. We have got Costa Rica.
Costa Rica coming in and joining the United Kingdom, Germany, and Peru, rounding up Group B. So with that, great logo there as well, Lou. Andres is their captain. And again, David Rodriguez, Victor Gonzalez, special event winners. So they've got some very kind of well-decorated players. And David Rodriguez, just a note as well, he was top 32 last week in the World Cup Open. So very strong finish there. And yeah, a nice group for all the teams in there. Very exciting. Lots of kind of well-known players as well within that group. So going to be tough. It's hard to even call right now, like who's going to make their way out of that one.
Well, let's finalize up Group C. I can't even see any of them. You can see there's only a few left in there. We have got Singapore.
Singapore joining Denmark, Sweden, and South Korea in Group C. Singapore are going to be managed by Lawan, who is text font. Melvin is obviously on that team as well. He's a 5-time international champion top cutter, which is just incredible,
Amazing.
isn't it, really? So, yeah, you've got regional champions within the team as well. So, again, some very strong players. And with that, Laurantis as well as their logo, their very, very nice logo, and a nice way to round off that group. That's a solid group with South Korea, Sweden, and Denmark.
Drop them some this week shuffling.
Right, you've got 4 left, Lou. Here we go on the countdown.
Oh, there's 2 there, you can see, so I'm going to put them back in. Want to make sure it's really fair. Got just one. Going to be the Czech Republic.
Czech Republic, joining Finland, the Netherlands, and Malaysia there. And as we've already mentioned, the Czech Republic, I've mentioned a couple of times, Czech Republic obviously having David Kutesh on their team, and Michael Suchek is their manager heading up the team. And they've got a few players that are very experienced players who've played since like 2009, 2010 seasons in VGC. So, and obviously got the Cramorant in there as well with the logo. Shooting out, is that the drill bear?
Little drill bear, yeah.
Little drill bear.
Drillers
Cramorant
don't
always
love
scares me, I can't get behind the logo. I love the Czech Republic team, but I can't get behind the logo. Cramorant scares me too much, Lou.
There's a little bit of madness, I always think.
Yeah.
Why does it want to bring a Pikachu up from the depths? That always has confused me.
I've told you my story about Cramorant, I'm sure.
Yes. Okay, so rounding up Group E is going to be Ecuador.
Ecuador rounding up Group E with Austria, Thailand, and Argentina. So Ecuador, another country. Paul Ruiz is obviously the 2018 world champion, incredible player, heading up that team. So you can't really ask for more in a manager than a previous world champion. You got Juan Ortiz, Kelvin as well, all special event winners. And yeah, Dylan had excelled in the 2020-2021 online tournaments as well. So, up and comers within that team. And like I say, headed off by Paul. It's an incredibly strong team, and going to be a tough challenge for the other teams in Group E, and makes that one very exciting as well, especially with Argentina in there as well. Kind of close rivalry in Group E.
I think if my memory serves me, we've got Japan and Norway left, I believe. You can see the 2 are in there, so give it a really good shuffle. So finalizing up Group F, and then by default we'll then know who is Group G. Picked up both again. Got just one. This is going to be Japan for Group F.
Okay, Japan have finally come out of the pot, and they are joining Belgium, Brazil, and the Dominican Republic. Japan going to be headed up by Forte, who is Yuki. And obviously, I don't really know what to say about Japan, because they are one of the strongest countries that we've got in VG, and the amount of accomplishments that they've got throughout their ranks, world champions, national champions, and so on, it goes on. They're always going to be favorites, or one of the favorites coming into any event like this. It's going to be very exciting for teams like Belgium, Brazil, and the Dominican Republic to go up against the Japanese players, because again, it comes back to what I've said previously. Sometimes you don't always get the opportunity to play these players for whatever reason, and it's a very exciting prospect, because Japan are an extremely strong team, and it's going to be exciting to watch all those teams in Group F kind of duke it out.
Yeah, it certainly will. Of course, finalising things up, I've already pulled it out as the last one there. Norway will be rounding up Group G with Italy, Uruguay, and Spain. So again, a really, really intense particular pool there to be keeping your eye on as a viewer.
Yeah, and the Brede is their manager there. A tough group to go into, but they've got some very strong players as well. They've got Jens, who's obviously well known for his Nidoking shenanigans in previous VGC seasons. And so, not to be underestimated in anywhere, but a very tough group. That Group G with Italy, Uruguay, Spain, and then Norway, it's probably the toughest one, I think, on kind of paper from this draw. Very exciting one, though. Like I say, for the viewers that aren't involved in this, and even the players that are, from a viewing point, it's very exciting. And these groups are phenomenal. I'm getting really excited actually just looking at how things are shaping up now and thinking about, oh wow, that matchup's going to be great, and yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think, yeah, you've done a remarkable job, Lou, I will say, at drawing out these teams.
Gimli helped, and your amazing knowledge of all of our managers and teams. Oh, Gimli's here as well. Has certainly been amazing. And there you have it, viewers. We have got our lineup for the World Cup of VGC by VictoryRoad, sponsored by the amazing Elgato. You have got now the teams, the pools. You know who's going to be facing off against who in these kind of qualifier stages. And I think, there's going to be some amazing matches here. I think as a viewer, you've got a lot of exciting things to watch out for. Every single one of these groups is going to throw some kind of surprise your way. And of course, people build differently, particularly in this kind of team mentality where you're going to be working together. You're going to be maybe trying to scout out what your opponents have been playing, what they tend to favor, what their play styles is, really analyzing it and then trying to come up with a counter to it. I think is, from my experience of doing Euro Cup previous in the year, that was something that was new to me as a player, and it's something that I think a lot of these players are going to really benefit from it themselves better. And I think we're going to see some very interesting matches from these teams, and lots to watch out for.
Yeah, and I couldn't have said it better myself, Lou. And I have to just say before we go any further, thank you so much for pulling out Japan when you did and not giving me the curse. Like I said, instantly regretting what I said when I said it, but it didn't work out like that. So that was good. But like you say, very exciting prospect of all of these kind of teams going up against each other and playing. And it's kind of shaping up to be a very exciting tournament and one that's going to run, you think about it, it's going to run until October. So it's going to be great to kind of see the progress of these teams. And, I think you've had the Copa America as well. And then you've also had the Euro tournament as well, which is a really good kind of warm up for a lot of these teams coming into the World Cup.
Exactly. So, I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly how these sort of matches are going to come down. Like you say, you've got those qualifier stages, and then you're going to be able to keep kind of going through. Coming up, so I think it's starting on the 2nd of August, I believe the first match is, Lee, if my memory serves.
Yeah, the 2nd of August is the when the qualifiers will begin, and they'll run through August, and then we'll go into the next stage after that, which will be the next 32 teams after that, which is like I say, it's not very long. It's next week. It's a couple of days away when the action all kicks off. So make sure you do stay tuned and make sure you get kind of following your team and support them if you're not taking part yourself.
Yeah, definitely support the teams, the players. Also, make sure to follow VictoryRoad for all of the update and all of the action. I'm sure they'll be printing a lovely screen of all of those pool stages as well, so you can check them out on their social medias. But don't forget, from the 2nd of August to the 22nd of August is going to be those qualified stages. And for those 3 weeks roughly, 3 weeks minus a day probably, you're going to be able to see all the Pokemon action from all of these different pools. So there'll be lots to catch up on. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I think that's it from me, Lee, and Gimli. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the qualifiers.